All right, so recording now. And I'll go here. All right. So let me just get this out of here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of put all the information in here, and this is what you should be doing as you read through the paragraph. So Lou is the owner. So Lou's investment is $2 million. And then he wants a return on investment. Oh, those ratios don't go away. Of 20%. He has a tax rate. This is Lou's tax rate of 30%. And we're going to borrow $3 million. And it has an interest rate of 12%. And then we have some costs. We've got depreciation, taxes, and insurance. That total $600. Management fees, 5%. Room expenses, of 25%. And undistributed, so we have 200,000 plus 5%. Okay, so let's look at what we have. So we need to first of all figure out what is it going to cost. So Lou's putting in $2 million. And the bank is putting in $3 million. So total cost of our project is going to be $5 million. Again, as I'm going through here, if you have questions, ask. Okay, so since they're putting money in this project, they both expect to get something out of the project. And this is part of your fixed cost. You can always figure out what the owner gets. You can always figure out what it's going to cost you to borrow money. So what we're doing is we're putting together all of our fixed costs. All right. So we'll start with the bank because the bank is a little bit easier. The bank comes down to that simple interest formula. And we're just calculating stuff based on 1 year. So we're going to take the 3 million and we're going to multiply by the interest rate of 12% for 1 year.
The 3 million is the borrowed?
Yes, that's from the bank.
Okay.
Okay, so to figure out the interest. I'm gonna go down here. We're gonna take this equation right here. And we're gonna calculate. I can't do it that way. Hold on, I gotta do it a different way. Okay, so our interest will be $360,000. That's going to be part of our fixed cost. So you're always going to have to calculate that. The amount that you borrow times the interest rate, and you're only doing it for 1 year. We're doing everything based on 1 year. Now, the owner's a little harder. The owner wants a return of 20% on his money. But that 20% has to be after tax. And that's why you have his tax rate. So to find the owners, so we're going to go with Lou. He wants 20 million, or 2 million, sorry, times 20%. Okay, that's what he wants. And so if I just multiply that, oh, stop it. He wants $40,000. But he wants it after tax. Okay, wants $400,000 in his hand. And so you have to do the owner in 2 steps. So this is step 1. Find out what the percentage is. Step 2 is to find the after-tax amount. And you do that by taking his return, which is the return on investment, and dividing by 1 minus the tax rate. And that'll give us the pre-tax amount that we have to build in to our costs. So we're going to take the 400,000 and divide by 1 minus his tax rate, which was 30%. Okay. Make sure you do the subtraction first. Get your answer and then divide. Because otherwise it's going to divide by 1 and then minus 30%. Going to be minus 0.3. So make sure you do this in the right order. So okay. So that is what we have to build in for the owner. Are you okay with that one? That one is the weirder one, I guess is a way to describe it. It's just, it's gotta be an after-tax amount. So it's 2 steps. Number one, figure out what the owner wants. In this case, what does Lou want? He wants $400,000, but he wants that $400,000. That's his net. That's after tax. So we have to figure out what it would be before tax, so that if he earns that amount, pays our taxes, he'll still get the 400,000. So over here, if I take that number times 0.7, right? If I take off 30%, see what I get? Okay, so if I take that, figure out what the 30% is, subtract it off, I get the $400,000, which is what he wanted. Questions?
So we should always assume that desired ROI, if we see it, is an after-tax number.
Yes, always, 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 always. And you will always have the tax percentage for the owner. You'll always have that. So those are your first 2 steps. Always start with those. Okay, always. You're always going to have them. Always start with them. And then we have to look and see, what do we have for fixed cost? Fixed costs are costs that we have to pay for regardless of how much we sell. So the only ones that we have that we know exactly what it is up here with this depreciation, taxes, and insurance. And we know that they are, oops. I don't know why it always does that. Okay, let me just move this stuff over here. All right, so we know that this is 600,000. The only other thing that I know, okay, the only other thing that I know as far as fixed costs go is those room expenses. I know that we have a fixed room expense of 200,000. Okay, I know I have that. All right, everything else I've got taken care of that. We took care of that. We took care of that. We've included that. We have 3 variable costs. So there's our fixed costs. And these problems are going to be different every time. There's going to be the standards. These 2 are always, but this is going to change, and the variable cost will change. So those are total fixed costs. We have interest of 360. We have the owner's pre-tax of 571,429. So the total that we have is all those added together. Okay. Everybody okay with that? So now I get to do algebra. So our sales that we need are going to consist of fixed cost, which is all of these added up, includes the direct fixed cost plus interest plus the owner's investment. So our sales have to equal all your fixed costs plus your variable costs. So in this case, we have sales equal to fixed cost that we just figured out. Okay, and then we're going to add anything up here that varies on sales. We have a management fee, which is 5%. We have room expenses, which are 25%. We have, you guys didn't correct me, that's undistributed expenses. Undistributed expense, that's part fixed, part variable. So to go back to my equation, I'm going to take my fixed, and I'm going to write this out kind of funny, just so that you can see. So we have our management fee. Just to label it. Okay, so we're going to add 0.5% of sales. Plus room expenses let me take that out of there. Okay, plus room which were 25% of sales, plus we have the undistributed, which is 5% of sales. Okay, looks like a mess. Okay, so now we're going to turn it into an algebra. So it makes a little more sense. So X is equal to get it right there. Okay. So now let's turn it into an algebra problem. You got all your variable costs right here. And these, again, it's going to change on the problem. It's going to depend on what our problems require, but basically what the property requires. fixed, and our variables. So we're gonna work this out because I know how much you love algebra. So your first step is to combine the x's. And so what you would do is just add all your x's. So we're gonna end up with 0.35x after we add all the x's together. Okay, if you have questions when I'm going, because I know you guys don't like this stuff, speak. Okay, combine like terms. So to get rid of this x, I have to subtract 0.35x from both sides. So you end up with 0.65x equal to the fixed cost. To get rid of, now you have to put the numbers together. So you have to divide both sides by 0.65. So if you divide by 0.65, you're going to end up with x equal to oh, okay, I got to go back and change. I missed something. All right, let me go back. It's called having my hand over the problem. Do you see those assume things that are on there? Does everybody see that? $10,000 comes from another department. So if you have something else that contributes to your costs, it's that much less that we have to get through our sales. And sorry, this is my fault. I have my arm over my book, so I didn't even see it. So nonprofit center, all this is going to change is we're going to subtract 10,000 off of here.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Non-room, not non-profit. That is the profit amount, the 10,000.
That's from a nonprofit room center. So what that does is reduces the costs. John, did you have a question?
I did.
Okay,
You see where you just put x equals
yes,
under the 0.65x?
yes.
The number to the right, is that supposed to have the second two? Or is it just 2/9?
It's, oh, gotcha. Yep, I'll fix that. Let me just get this done here. Okay, Excel is giving me fits here for a second. Okay, all that does is change the total fixed cost. So just watch for that. Don't have your arm over your book. So all that's doing is changing the 31 to a 21. So sometimes what happens is you have other areas in the property that will contribute to the amount of income that you need. And so in this case, we had something else that was going to contribute to what we have to raise in sales. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't mean to confuse. So sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. Just read what you have. And so if we want to solve this, all we're going to do is take the 172,1429 and divide by 0.65. Make sure when you're doing this that your sale number comes out more than this. If it doesn't, it means you didn't do the math right. So if you do this, you're going to get a sale number of 2,648,352. And that's going to be our sales. Okay. Let's go back through this before we finish this. So, step 1, write all this down. Okay, write all this down. And so what I should have done is put a nonprofit center contributes 10,000. Okay. And I just say, because a lot of the problems you're going to have is just a paragraph. You're going to have the owner's investment. You're going to have borrowed amount. So those are your first 2 steps. Figure out the interest. Figure out the return on investment. And then the pre-tax. And then you're going to just have to look to see what you have. Anything that you have a dollar amount for would be a fixed cost. Regardless of how many rooms you sell, you're paying it. So we've got depreciation, taxes, insurance, and that should make sense. Think about the income statements that we did. This stuff was always in that 3rd section. It was stuff we had no control over. We had to pay it. Undistributed expenses, there was $200,000 that was fixed. And so that's what we have there. So the interest, the owner, any dollar amount of fixed costs that we have, you're going to add up. Then check to see if you have anything that will contribute to the sales, because then we don't have to raise that particular amount of money. So I subtract that off. That is my fixed cost. Sales is going to be equal to fixed cost and variable cost. In this problem, we have 3 variables. We have a management fee of 5%. We have room expenses of 25%. And we have undistributed expenses of 5%. So if we put it into an algebra formula, combine your x's, get your x's combined together. So we got a point, so you're going to subtract. So remember, with algebra, whatever you do here, you have to do the opposite. So if I am adding here, I have to subtract. So I subtracted that. That puts that to 0. Remember, there's a 1 in front of that x. So 1 minus the 0.35 gives me 0.65. These 2 are multiplied. So I got to again do the opposite. I'm going to divide. So I divide both sides by 0.65. This becomes a 1. This divided by 0.65 becomes this. And that is the amount of our sales. Questions? All right, so that's our total sales. Now I got to figure out how much to charge per room. So the other piece of information that we have is that they had 150 guest rooms. And they expect to have a 70% occupancy. So what we have to do is figure out the number of rooms. And it's a year, so you don't have to remember how many days in a month. Some of you had a little trouble with that on the test. So we have 150 times 0.7 times 365 days. That's going to give us the number of rooms. And so if we just do the math, we're going to expect to sell 38,325 rooms. So what we do down here is we take our sales and we divide by rooms expected to sell. So in this case, it's going to be the 26,48,352 divided by the 38,325. So we would have to charge $69.10.
Question for you, would you leave in that 10,000 of annual department profit that says non-room profit centers for an ADR calculation?
Yes. We just, you don't change anything.
Okay,
All that does is decrease the amount of fixed costs that you have to worry about.
okay, it's just, I'm used to ADR calculations only being on room sales, so if profit came from a non-room profit center,
Okay.
normally wouldn't affect room revenue in my experiences, but
Right. But this isn't the real world.
okay, I appreciate that. I just want to, you know, again, I'm trying to turn off things I've learned in other places to follow what you're doing. So that's why I just wanted to be clear that we're just taking the total sales for the calculation here.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And so you can go further with these and only go further with these if they ask you to go further with these. So look this over. Do you have any questions? I mean, the steps are fairly simple to follow if you follow the steps as I went through them. And that's why I tried to write everything out for you so that you could see the steps. And you gotta attempt the homework. You gotta. If you struggle, but you figure it out, you know what? The next time you're gonna know exactly what to do. But you guys give up too easily. All right, this does have a second piece. And unfortunately, it's algebra. But what it is that is your average daily rate. But you're going to have different rooms. You're going to have singles and you're going to have doubles. And sometimes you have suites. And sometimes you have other things, okay? So obviously you're not going to charge the same amount for each of those rooms. So I'm going to show you this other piece. But if the problems don't ask you to do it, don't do it. And honestly, most of the time, I don't assign you to do this. I just do this and show you. So let me just add down here. So with this one, they say that 80% are going to be doubles. So that means that 20% will be single. And they tell you that the double rooms are $20 more. And so again, it becomes an algebra problem. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what our singles are. So our single is 20% of X. And our doubles, here's your algebra, is 80%, but it's X plus 20. Because the rooms were $20 more. And that's equal to your ADR. Okay, that's your equation that you end up with. So I'm going to walk you through the algebra because I say, again, I know you guys don't like this. Okay, so then we're going to multiply the point X times X. And then we're going to multiply the 0.8 times 20. You got to extend the 80% over the parentheses. So this is going to be 0.8x. And then if we take 80% of 20, it's equal to 16. Okay, so if we add our x's together, we're going to get 1x plus 16 is equal to the 6910. Okay, then we're going to subtract 16 from both sides so that x equals 5310. So the 5310 would be the price that we would have to charge for our single. And for our double, it would be the 53.1 plus 20 equals 7310. So that's just a little added thing on there. All right, questions?
I'm sorry, how'd you get the 16 again?
80% of 20. You got to distribute that 0.8 over both pieces of the parenthesis.
Okay.
Anything else?
So you added the 20 in two different spots. You added it at the top with the X plus 20, and then you added it again.
Okay, well, this is the price of a single room. This whole thing is the price of a double room.
Oh, okay, I see.
And then once
you
we
just
have a
carried it
single room,
down.
when we go down here, we got to add it to get the price of the double.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, let me get out of there. And so I wrote down what I wanted you to do for tonight, and now where did I put it? All right, so what I was gonna have you do for tonight, and these are the practice ones. So you need to do those. Hold on, I gotta get back out here. Oh, here it is. So I'm gonna give you 2 to practice. Number 1 is number 12. Now, if you go look at number 12, please go look at number 12 for a second. It's on page 430. You have land, building, and equipment. you have to calculate the depreciation for building and equipment. The building has a 40-year life, no salvage value. So just take the price of the building, divide it by 40 to get your depreciation. The equipment has a 10-year life. So just take the equipment and divide by 10 and that'll give you your depreciation. So that's what you have to do to get the number for number 6. Number 1 is giving you the cost of the project. Okay, number 1 is the cost of the project. And so you have 4 and 5 and 6 are fixed costs. 7, you have fixed and variable. 8, you have a variable. 9, it says the telephone department is expected to break even. So what that is it's telling you it's not going to contribute anything. So you wouldn't have that minus 10,000 that we did in the last one. 10, fixed and variable. 11 gives you your occupancy. And if you read the very first sentence of the problem, it tells you it's a 50-room facility. The other one that I want you to do is number 18. And 18, that's a paragraph. You don't have to do number 3. So don't do 2, let me just look, because they have something that contributes.
It does spill over to page 434, number 18.
No, okay, well, I don't want you to have to do that last part. We can do that together when you guys come in. For 18, do... So for number 18, just do number 1. Don't worry about the gift shop. Just do number 1. Okay? But you're going to have to pull stuff out of that paragraph. That's why I tell you to write it down like I did. All right, questions? Okay. I'm going to stop recording.